audience that you write for? Is that just something that naturally developed out of your relationship with your children, and how do you kind of target it? Do you do that intentionally, or do you kind of think about your own children, or do you go outside of that to do some research and kind of find out what's pressing kids' buttons these days?
I do both. I definitely do both. I had 4 teenagers at the same time, so I had a lot of feedback and be able to bounce the ideas off them. But I also wanted to expand. I visited public schools, I visited Christian schools, so I got a good idea of what kids are thinking about today. And what I've learned is they like stories that are very complex and very deep. A lot of authors think, well, you have to write down to young people. I think you have to make them more complex and more challenging because they want to dig in. They want to ask questions. And I found that the deeper and more complex I make it, the more they like it. And I like that kind of writing, too.
And you've really tried to reach out to them in other ways, too. Besides the books, you know that they're connected to the Internet, and so you've used that as a tool to talk to them. Tell me about that.
Yes, I have a very active message forum. We've had over 1 million messages posted over the years, and I private message with the kids and help them with their problems. They're writing to me about pornography and cutting and all the things that kids are going through. What do I do about this? My parents aren't Christians. I became a Christian from reading your books, and I have no input. What do I do? So I spend 10 to 15 hours a week on my message forum talking to these kids and helping them out. And they have a community where they talk to each other and help each other out. It's been amazing.
Wow. And with respect to what you just said there, I became a Christian through reading your books. And someone might be thinking and watching and saying, well, how can someone read a fictional fantasy story, that's really otherworldly in some respects and really stretching your imagination? How does the message of the gospel come through?
Well, every one of my stories has a story of redemption. Someone is in a deep trouble spiritually, and they come out of it through some kind of revelation or light. It's not always specifically an altar call with, come to Jesus message. But a lot of the times I have kids who are Christians who will lend my books to their non-Christian friends. And then they are able to talk about it. What did this mean to you? Did you know that there is a Jesus who loves you? And so they come to Jesus by being exposed to the gospel and spiritual things through my books. And the kids reel them in, if you know what I'm saying. The Christian kids do.
Yeah.
You've got a new series out, Echoes from the Edge. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that one is a little bit more suspense and mystery than fantasy, but it still has a strong fantasy edge to it. I wanted to appeal to a little older audience, more 13 to 18. So I developed a 16-year-old character, a violinist. I wanted to get into the music because so many kids love music. And he finds his parents murdered. And as a Christian, how does he handle that? And going about and solving the mystery and meeting all sorts of dangers. And he also meets another girl, a 16-year-old girl, and she's completely different. So I wanted to explore a strict homeschooled Christian and how he reacts to someone from a completely different culture, a non-Christian girl, and how they can team up and how he can hold on to his standards while still learning to love platonically and spiritually this girl and somehow win her to the spiritual side, and at the same time trying to find out what happened to his parents. So it turned out to be a really exciting adventure.
Wow. Now, your books, you're targeted for the young adult audience. Do you get feedback from parents maybe, or from older people that kind of get engaged in the stories as well?
I've had emails from kids as young as 8 to kids as old as 88 telling me how much they love the books. And parents do tell me that my kids have changed since reading your books. And my 13-year-old boy has never read a book before, just now reads everything after starting your books. So giving them an engaging book helps them to learn to love to read. And then you can introduce them to other books that might be more toward nonfiction and more specifically Christian.
Bryan, did you ever think that you'd be doing this with your life, a couple decades ago or so?
No, I was engineering computers for 20 years, and so I was a real geek.
Dealing with ones and zeros.
Not a writer at all. So it was the challenge of writing for my kids that started it all. I learned that I really love it, and storytelling, as Jesus was a storyteller, is a fantastic way to reach people with truth.
And so does it just kind of come? You just kind of start tapping away at the keyboard, or do you
It
kind of
is.
storyboard it out as an engineer would and
You know,
make the pieces
a
work?
lot of engineers would do it that way, but I'm a seat of the pants writer. I go on the adventure with my character, so that makes it a whole lot of fun. I'm sitting there saying, I don't know what's going to happen next, and I really don't. And so these things pop in my mind, and I'm having a blast doing this.
For parents watching right now, are there some warning signs that maybe you should be looking for, or a little bit of judgment when it comes to the books that their kids may be reading?
There are several. Are the authority figures respected? For one thing, there's some stories where every adult is either evil or stupid. Do the kids in the stories, are they rewarded for good behavior, or are they punished for bad behavior? Does the story reward them if they do something bad? That's something else to watch out for.
So you want to look for moral judgments, and then the rewards or consequences.
Yes, exactly. Is the God figure respectable and truthful and trustworthy, or is he capricious and untrustworthy? Is violence gratuitous, or is there a purpose for the violence? Does it advance the story, and does it rescue somebody? Does it free a captive? The violence needs to be purposeful. So there are several guidelines like that to watch out for.
Wonderful. Well, Bryan, I want to thank you for joining us today. Echoes from the Edge series. It's a trilogy. We've got a couple copies right here. And I mentioned to you, my son picked up one of these last night, and he started voraciously reading it. He was reading it on the way to school today. He said, Dad, can I take this with me? I said, not yet. After we're done this morning, you certainly can. But if you'd like to connect with Bryan, you can visit our website, harvest-tv.com. You'll find an easy way on the show info menu bar to link to his website as well, which your website will be a great resource for maybe some teens in your very own home. And we want to thank you for joining us today here on
Thank you for
Harvest.
having me.